Okay, we will now be going on to council reports. For the first council report, I'm going to ask if there is a report from our portfolio of government and finance. Okay, and that doesn't mean that there has to be, we're just given the opportunity. We have protection and community service, Councillor Butler, report. Public works and infrastructure, Councillor Parrott, any report? Councillor Sisley, would you like to do one?
No, you've got it.
Okay, so I'll give a report. In the Public Works meeting that we had last week, we spoke about a lot of what's able to happen this year, what might be able to happen this year, and what we need to plan for the next 20 years, etc. All these things are coming into play because obviously we have an expanding town that has a lot of needs for expansion and the infrastructure to go in for that expansion. We also have the need to create the infrastructure in a positive way for the hospital build, which is also going to influence our future expansions. We need to do this in a good way. So as far as giving you any specifics as in the names of streets and any dollar figures, we will not be doing that because our finance committee is going to be meeting with all the recommendations of what we need to happen this year, and they're going to be able to tell us whether or not we can actually do it financially and keep the hospital build going. So in our meeting, we were talking about what we're going to be able to do about maintaining our water supply and increasing our water supply and protecting our water supply, as we have to have twinning of some kind to protect the hospital's water supply, and we also need to be able to protect our future development of the town where we can supply twice as much water as we already use. In our street repairs, there's areas in town that were spoken of that must be repaired due to safety reasons, and there's areas of town that would be really nice to look a little more beautiful. In doing that, we will definitely be looking at the must repair areas, and as far as the make them beautiful areas, those will be subject to budget restraints. The possibility of micro-sealing an area due to the company that does the micro-sealing is in the area doing a super large project, which is going to be a benefit to the town anyway. We might be able to piggyback on that. We have water and sewer projects that will be in the queue, and there will be a list of them as to which ones must go first, which ones need to go first, and which ones should go first. We have an extension of the street that may or may not be able to happen due to budget restraints, but the majority of the material is here. It will be subject to contractor availability. We have an expansion of the subdivision where we need to put in a water line and a sewer line, and again, we'll be needing the contractors to be available, and the materials for that particular project are not on site, but we may have extra laying around that we could use. The hospital project is going very well. The engineers, the town staff, and the contractors have all been working in harmony to make this project happen as best as possible. It's still in a lot of the paperwork stages, but as everyone can see, there has been a lot of engineering going on, and they're pounding piles into the ground for the actual hospital foundation. As far as town employees doing work on the 40-acre site that is owned by the hospital project, the town does not do work on that 40 acres. The town is working on their portion, which would be sewer and water and road. As far as equipment needs, we went over a list of different pieces of equipment that are totally necessary for the staff to function, and the ones that are creating more breakdowns and repair costs than replacement. And our staff are looking at all the grants that are available and trying to access as many as possible. For those people worrying about whether or not they will or will not see a slide appear down at the pool, the slide will be in queue to be constructed as long as it does not interfere with the opening in the pool. But the most important part is as long as we can get a contractor to actually do it. And as Big and Rich has just arrived, he totally understands the difficulty in getting sub-trades and contractors to come around and actually do work because they're in such short supply. So that's Public Works and Infrastructure report. We have Recreation and Economic Development. Chair Sisley.
So I have a Winterfest update. There will be a pancake breakfast at Arts Forward that the Neepawa Fire Department, the firefighters will be cooking the pancakes for everybody. So it's a fundraiser for them, and I do believe it is from 9 to 11. I should double check on that though. Unfortunately, the sleigh rides are canceled due to the cost of the sleigh rides and the lack of donations towards the event. There will be a lot still going on. There'll be hot dogs supplied by Neepawa Gladstone Co-op with fire pits for cooking and warming up. There's going to be face painters, skate with the Titans on the outdoor rink, an obstacle course that Muriel Gammy will put on for everybody, and the gymnastics club is hosting a free gym at the Yellowhead, and there'll also be some climbing hills, and there's going to be a chili cook-off for some non-profit organizations. We are still looking for volunteers to work throughout the day, whether that be down at the Flats for the actual Winterfest or at the Roxy for the free movie that will be at 3 o'clock. So you can call the town office at 204-476-7600 if you're able to volunteer. And there is another addition. Unfortunately, this one isn't a positive one with the washrooms. There was more vandalism that consisted of major damage to the automated external defibrillator device at the Flats change room. Thankfully, the cameras that we have installed outside the change rooms are helping in the RCMP investigation of the incident, and we thank everyone for their support in helping to deter any vandalism at the Flats. And for those interested in volunteering for the COP program, which is our Citizens on Patrol, you can call Clint at 204-476-0054 or 204-841-4180.
Any questions for that? Okay, Chair Nadeau for the Volunteerism Committee.
Yes, the other person on the committee, our mayor, Brian Headley, and I, we met on January 6th as our first meeting of this new committee, and we were able to establish an outline of what the committee looks like. So we're redefining it. It's something that we're treading new ground here, and we're really trying to make something special, and we want to make sure we get it right. So we're taking a little more time before we go public with our areas of what this committee involves. We're meeting again later this week on February 9th in between curling, and but we're putting this important time aside in order to make sure that we make more progress as we continue on here with this new committee. And really shortly, in the coming weeks, I see us making more of a public presence. But really, as you know, it's environmental health and volunteerism, and we're already doing such an amazing job here in Neepawa, and the curling alone is just a good identifier. And then down at the Flats, like my colleague here just mentioned, how we definitely need people to volunteer. So please, please put your time in that you can to help support this wonderful event in our community.
You didn't happen to have any volunteers kicking around for the event, and
You know, Neepawa is such a great place. I'm sure we're going to have more than enough. You know, thinking back when we had the floods and we had so many trucks lined up at the water tower there to get those sandbags.
Yeah, and you know, and that was it. That was a really great thing. When we had a disaster, everybody does step forward. The one thing about the winter fair is not a disaster, and it still needs volunteers.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so I would put out that to the general public. You know, we all like to see events happening in town, but the events don't happen on their own. They take cooperation and volunteers. And a lot of that stems from remembering to, as you're running your groups, no matter what group it is, that you continuously include your youth and groom your youth to let you sit in that easy chair someday as they take over property. Anyway, that was my little perk. Okay, so we'll now move to other council reports from the boards that you were on and other committees that you were on throughout the town. And I will just ask councillors to signify. Councillor Nadeau.
Sure, I'll go first and get mine out of the way. Geez, I've been really busy over the last 3 weeks. It goes right back to the day after the last meeting we had. January 18th was a very busy day for me. 4 meetings that day. So it started early in the day and it kept going right into the evening. The Westlake Employment Services had their regular meeting along with an AGM meeting. So it was a double meeting. And we were able to get 3 new board members, so that was really good. And almost all of the municipalities that the Westlake Employment Services serves are now on there, so that's good. We're just looking to still get a volunteer from the Westlake Gladstone area. But other than that, we now have a really dynamic board, so it's really looking positive and working within the community and helping to serve the residents. So there's a lot of good things coming from that, along with the fact that Westlake Employment Services is working with its neighboring partners in its building that it is at the former co-op down on Mountain. So working with Immigration Services and Salvation Army, we're really seeing how we can help complement each other to provide the best services for all of our residents. The next meeting on January 8th was the Western Manitoba Regional Library meeting. So we had a regular board meeting, and our citizen rep and myself were there to represent the town, Bill Stillwell and myself, and again, a lot of business was able to be accomplished in a short amount of time. And then later in the night, there was also a Rossburn Subdivision Trail Association meeting. And at that meeting, we really talked more about how the dynamics of using virtual meetings is really important. We've decided to host all of our meetings in Sandy Lake because it's virtual. So we're one of the further drives to town. It takes just over an hour to get there. But we use the fire hall. They're gracious to support us that way, and they've now got high-speed internet. So I'm the techie in the group, so they asked for my help in purchasing equipment and then getting it set up so that we can have our regular meetings hybrid, but both. It's hard to eat those cookies when you're remote, so definitely everyone does prefer to be in person, but every so often, based on weather and other circumstances, we have to provide that option. One thing that I did hear from residents to kind of add on to that is we had a couple concerns just with our own trail. We're finding that there's a spot along our trail between Riverbend Park and the hospital, how it winds, how the water has eroded part of it. So I have some pictures I'll share here with administration at the end of the night, just showing where we have got some concerns of the trail that we just have to do some repairs to the riverbank, just to make sure it's safe for everybody because it's eroding a lot and it does pose a danger. That's January 18th. On February 6th, just yesterday, we had a local Neepawa library meeting, and it was all the members attended, and it was really well chaired. We had our chair return as chair, so that was really good, and we had a really good discussion. And there's so many great things happening at our Neepawa library. The cricket machine was the star of the show, unfortunately. One of our new, it's kind of like a CNC machine for other objects other than wood or steel. So it allows you to cut out from paper to vinyl. So it's one of the new maker stations that they have, and if you go and do the training on it, they'll let you do your own cricket programming. So our libraries also had some recent renovations. They changed the way their computer carrels are. So it used to be a wall with a long desk with computers, and now it's actually a couple carrels that we're borrowing from the Carberry Library. So we're seeing a lot of great programs at our local library, and I encourage everyone to stop in, see the new renovations, and see this cricket machine in action. Or just go ahead and plop yourself down on some beautiful comfy seats that they have there in order to let you relax and read a book. The last thing I'll just mention from one more committee that I met with is, as I'm on the Yellowhead board, but I'm also a councillor here, and I represent a user group, I participated in part of the Yellowhead Center review. I joined other user groups in order to help give some feedback to help with the review, and it went really well, and that was over on January 24th. So a nice chance to see how this review is going. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that nice report. Councillor Nadeau, any questions on Councillor Nadeau's report? Councillor Gerard.
Speaking to the Yellowhead function review, is there the opportunity for the community to comment at large with this review and this process?
Looking at the time frame, they have to have this wrapped by the end of March, and of course, then it was complicated by the Viterra Championships, which had them expedite the interviews that they were able to do. No, not necessarily. Hughes did get a link today to participate in the survey. We have asked them as of today if we can reach out to key people we think
Tourism and chamber
have
both getting.
valuable information by stretching it at least to those limits, but, this is already February. We need the draft report on the desk very shortly so that we can get this all cleaned up by March.
Wasn't sure if it was going to be open to the public.
If you know of an individual that is,
Certainly share it with people,
Yeah.
it just won't be wide open.
No, thank you.
somebody that would be key to providing information, give us those names and we'll.
Appreciate
Any other council reports? Okay, I'll give plenty one. Let's see. Our next meeting is February 16th. Tomorrow is the meeting with the doctors and staff with a representative from our group. And so that deals with the operation itself of the clinic, not the building itself. We met third Thursday of this last month, and that was a catch-up meeting because we had missed our December meeting, so we had a lot of things to discuss. Our next meeting being February 16th coming up, and we're actually asking, there's another group, the physicians recruitment, because again, everybody's looking for doctors. We're hoping to get another one of those meetings. We met with the planning board recently, last Monday night, and it was a really cool meeting because everybody stayed afterwards and had a long discussion about not just planning issues, but regional issues that affect everybody in all realms. It was probably one of the coolest after-meeting meetings that we've had in a long time. And that was with councillors from the surrounding municipalities, Rosedale, Glenelg, Lansdowne, and the town of Neepawa, and discussing so many topics without any kind of dissension going on. And as early as today, we met, it just happened to be handy today, our CAO and MOO met with Deloitte, and they basically asked lots of questions and gave a few viewpoints on different things. And unless Vinny or Colleen want to speak on that, that's probably about all I can say about it. Do you have anything further
No,
to
it's
add?
just furthering the review of the yellow badge, trying to keep on track with really all the meeting wants to do.
Okay, so any discussions on council committee reports or anything? And we'll move on to our next one. Manager of Operations, Denise. Okay.
Thank you. So staff have been pretty busy just with their normal activities, so whether it be snow clearing or just sewer maintenance and jetting, stuff like that. Water plant's been pretty quiet. All departments have been just kind of running smoothly right now. My time's been occupied with some meetings regarding some of the disaster financial work. So Park Lake, we meet regularly on that project, and we got some updates today that they'll probably, well, they're working right now excavating, but probably about mid-March they'll be pulling off-site, because then they'll start getting prepped for spring runoff and be out, and then come back. I believe they can come back after June 15th to commence work again. The golf course, they gave an update there as well, is that all the sheet piling, H piling has been completed. So now they'll just be working on the bridge structure itself. So we'll be moving on to that one. Lagoon build, Thorpe Construction has mobilized on the site, and they've started some of the formwork preparation. So we'll just see some concrete pours in that building. And then again, we meet probably every couple weeks on the active transportation one from our consultant there to see how that's progressing. So a lot of work's going on.
Anything happening with the Hamilton Street Boulevard?
Nothing.
Okay. In-house. Any questions for Manager of Operations, Denise Agay? Okay. We'll move on to finance. We have the accounts. We have a resolution on the checks. Be it resolved that we approve the accounts for January 2023 totaling $3,000,000 $3,519,310.16 as reviewed and representing checks 2023 quadruple 01 to 2023 00253, but excluding 2023 00048. Mover or seconder? Councillor Gerard, seconded by Councillor Sisley. Any discussion on this? Any questions for our finance on these? Okay, no questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay. And the minutes note that Councillor Gerard has removed himself from this next check. Be it resolved that we approve check 2023 00048 for January 2023 to Home Hardware totaling $312.84. I have a mover, Nadeau, and Kosenchuk. Discussion? None? All those in favor? Carried. Subdivision. And the first subdivision that we're dealing with is 4437-22-8376 Reimer. We have a resolution. Whereas the Council of Town of Neepawa approved subdivision 4437-22-8376 of Owen Reimer on behalf of 1003134 Manitoba Inc. to subdivide lots 17 to 24 inclusive, block 118, plan 256 in northeast 28 and southeast 33, 14, 15 west, for the purpose of splitting off the existing commercial lot from the balance of the property in order to develop the newly created lot into multi-residential housing. And whereas Council imposed conditions requiring the applicant to obtain a conditional use order to allow for the change in use of the new parcel, as well as formalizing of a development agreement to address costs of servicing, etc. And whereas the applicant no longer wishes to proceed with the multiple residential development at this time, preferring to simply subdivide his property into two separate parcels, therefore be it resolved that Council approve the withdrawal of the requirements for a conditional use and development agreement and allow the applicant to divide the property into two separate lots within the commercial central zone under subdivision application 4434-22-8376. Do I have a mover? And we have, Councillor Pottinger and seconder, Councillor Sisley. Do we have discussion? This is, for those who do not know where this property happens to be, that is the Red Apple and the lot in behind it. So the Red Apple property itself will be subdivided from the residual property in behind it, allowing for two separate parcels and two separate titles with no restrictions. All those in favor? Carried. Next on the agenda is subdivision 4437-22-8452 Big and Rich Limited. I see, Jamie, you're here. That's great. Whereas the Council of the Town of Neepawa approved subdivision 4437-22-8452 of Kitchison TDS on behalf of Big and Rich Limited to subdivide Lot 15, Block 30, Plan 348, and P.D. Walker Avenue, which is closed, in northeast 28, 14, 15 west to allow for the construction of a single-family residential home on the proposed lot, subject to conditions that were outlined in Resolution 2022-175. And whereas the applicant submitted an application to Community and Regional Planning to revise the subdivision by altering the widths of the proposed lots 1 and 2. This application for revision conditionally approved by the province, however now subject to the town's approval. Therefore be it resolved that we hereby approve the revision to the subdivision 4437228452 to reduce the width of the proposed Lot 1 from 63.66 feet to 56.03 feet, which will reduce the site area from 6,400 square feet to 5,600.46 square feet, and increase the width of the proposed Lot 2 from 33 feet to 41 feet, which will increase the site area from 3,301.3 square feet to 4,097.82 square feet. Further be it resolved that other than altering the frontage and site area values for the proposed Lot 2 as part of the variance application, the conditions contained in Resolution 2022-175 remain applicable. Do I have a mover and a seconder? We have Ottinger and Kostenchuk. Discussion. Councilor Gerard.
I just want to confirm that under that original agreement, that is for in fact single-family housing that would be on site, so there's no change that will be single-family housing that goes on to those.
Single-family housing, the real difference here is we're altering, basically taking 8 feet from the western lot and pushing it over to the eastern lot, so now the 33-foot lot will actually be 41.
Yep.
And then the larger lot, which was almost 64, is going to be 56. So really that is the only difference in this subdivision, is making 2 lots equally, almost equally reasonable in space requirements on the frontage and size.
That's great.
Okay.
Did we have any comments from our planning?
This is already a conditional, we've already approved the subdivision back in, this came to your table before, basically. So, no, this was just re-vetted through them because of the change. It was seen as a minor change, it fits within the scope of zoning. There is no reason, he was coming already, the applicant, for a variance on the 33-foot lot. He will have to come back for a variance to vary it now, basically down to the 41. So, nothing has changed other than the size and requirements.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. And this will come out in the mail to you, Jamie, so you don't have to worry about that. Thank you for coming in for this.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Okay, and now we move on to new business. We have a resolution. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Neepawa declare the 2023 Neepawa District Chamber of Commerce Fair as a community event, entitling them to obtain a community events liquor permit for the period of Friday, May 26th to Sunday, May 28th of the year 2023. We'll make that adjustment on that resolution. What's that?
I just can't get the year right.
All right, so I'll need a mover and a seconder for that. Okay, we have Nadeau for the move and Kostenchuk for the seconder. Discussion. Councilor Nadeau.
No, I'm a big fan of the community having a fair, so I think I'm a big supporter.
Okay. Ms. Kostenchuk. Can I ask our CAO to explain why we need to do something like this?
Every community is allowed 2 community event permits in their round, so this would be the first we're applying for in 2023. Sorry, we've already done Viterra.
Yes.
This will be the second one, so this is it. Not to say you can't have another, but you need written permission now out of the province to do so. So the reason being to allow this is that you can actually sell tickets in the door, you can advertise all those things. Whereas if you're running a social, for example, you have to have pre-sales, you cannot sell tickets at the door. So there's a different set of rules. By passing this as a community permit, then it relaxes a lot of those rules.
So then if we have future groups thinking a community event, they better give themselves extra lead time because now we're going to need written permission. So if you are a group thinking of something like this, know that the lead times could be longer going forward to get this approved.
So is this like to do like a beer gardens or
No, it
something?
just has, it means it's a little more broader and open. So like I said, in a social grade, you can't, there's certain things you can't do insofar as advertising and selling tickets at the door. You can't just come and get your ticket and drink. There's different rules that govern that. Community events are then are approved based on anybody can come. You could get a ticket at the door, you can, the idea being it's more of an economic benefit to the community.
And it makes a difference with bartenders and
Yeah.
everything else. You don't have to have your serve safe if it's a community event.
Okey dokey. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, we move on to storefront improvement incentive program for the 2023 intake called Hid and Hollow. Be it resolved that we approve an application to the storefront improvement program submitted by Hidden Hollow to repair the storefront and install a mural at 266 Davidson Street. Incentive provided shall be a maximum of $5,000 or 50% of the actual cost, whichever is lesser. Mover, Councillor Sicily, seconder, Councillor Pottinger. Discussion, Councillor Sicily.
Yeah, I'll speak to this. This is the first application that's come through for 2023. If anybody hasn't had a chance to get to Hidden Hollow and check out the inside mural, what was done over at Christmas time, it's absolutely amazing. The store itself and what they have for product, I think is just awesome that we have that in town. I stopped in, Linda showed me around and talked me through what the outside mural will look like, and it's going to mirror what the inside mural is. They're not just going to slap paint on, they're actually fixing the cracks and really working at making that outside of that building look good. I think it'll probably be the nicest building in town. So we discussed this at our Recreation and Economic Development meeting, and everybody was in support of this, so we are looking for council support.
Could you tell us where this is?
It is...
It's hidden.
266.
It's right beside the library, is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's, you don't really notice it where it is right now, but it's gonna pop when they're done, so.
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. We now move on to the bylaw for the cemetery maintenance fees. Be it resolved that bylaw 3220-23 being a bylaw of the town of Neepawa to provide for the regulation, maintenance, care, and operation of the Neepawa Riverside Cemetery be now read for a second time. Moved by Councillor Gerard, seconded by Councillor Nadeau. Discussion, Councillor Gerard. Councillor Nadeau. Any other councillors? Councillor Potts.
I think the purpose of this was simply to make a change within the bylaw, just saying that, and you, Colleen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the cost for the plaques would be borne by the purchaser. There wasn't a set fee, but it was that they would pay the cost plus the shipping, and that is the only change in this. It was simply to take out a number and put back in a description of what that cost would be, and that's the difference in this.
Perfect, thank you for that explanation. All those in favor? Carried. We now have a resolution, be it resolved that the bylaw 3220-23 being a bylaw of the town of Neepawa to provide for the regulation, maintenance, and care and operation for the Neepawa Riverside Cemetery be now read for a third time and passed. Now I'll ask for a mover and a seconder. So we have Pottinger and Gerard, councillors, and discussion on this. Anyone care to explain why we do 3 readings?
To a bylaw?
Yeah.
It's required.
There we go. Well, you know, why, right? It's so that councils can have reserved thought time.
And we can never have 3 readings at one meeting.
And you can never have 3 readings, yeah. So people get a chance to cool off or research, do a better job of counseling. All those in favor? Carried.
And it's a recorded
This
vote.
is a recording.
And it's a recorded vote.
Unanimous.
But be it resolved, or let it be known that His Worship Mayor Headley did not vote.
So did he abstain?
No, he's absent, he's just absent.
Oh, yeah. Now we're on to, do you have anything else to talk about? It's called other business, stuff that we forgot about at the beginning of the meeting, but really want to hop on to now.
I'm gonna actually mention something. I forgot to talk about Handyman. We put out an advertisement today on Facebook. They have partnered with Co-op and Freshmart, and they're having Senior Tuesdays. So the grocery stores are actually working with them to bring anybody from Elks Manor, KK1, KK2, and Yellowhead Manor. They get a free ride, free round trip ride to the grocery stores to get their groceries and back with their groceries. So it's happening on Tuesdays, and we're really close to having Safeway on board for a different day too, so.
Okay, that sounds great. Any other bursting issues that need to be expressed? Okay, well, thank you for a good meeting. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Neepawa do now adjourn this regular council meeting at 8:04 p.m. Moved by Councilor Sicily, seconded by Councilor Kosmachuk. All those in favor? Oh, wait, discussion.
Let's not.
No discussion. All those in favor? Carried.